PNG supports Indonesia's bid in the Melanesian Spearhead Group. Government commits 100,000 kina to combat malaria. And parliamentary committee told cancer facility cannot save women.
This is National EMTV News with Tokana Hasavi.
Good evening and thanks for joining me again for Tuesday's news. Papua New Guinea has supported Indonesia's bid to be an associate member of the Melanesian Spearhead Group. This was one of the outcomes of the two-day visit to PNG by Indonesian President Joko Widodo. Two memorandums of agreement were signed between the two nations, one for combating transnational crimes and human resource in the energy sector. The signing was witnessed by the visiting head and PNG's Prime Minister, Peter O'Neill.
The highlight of the two-day visit was the signing of two agreements by the two countries. It was held at Parliament this morning. These agreements were signed by PNG's Foreign Minister Rimbing Pato and his counterpart Minister Retno Marsudi and Indonesia's Energy and Mineral Resources Minister. The first agreement is for cooperation in combating transnational crimes, and the other is for cooperation in human resource in the energy sector. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill announced PNG's support for Indonesia's bid to become an associate member of the Melanesian Spearhead Group to allow for more participation in trade and cultural exchanges.
Honored to have our distinguished visitors here in our country, and today's discussions have gone further into ensuring that our bilateral relationship is further strengthened by our talks today. We have also agreed for Papua New Guinea's support for Indonesia to become an associate member of the Melanesian Spearhead Group, which Papua New Guinea will gladly endorse and pursue with the other leaders of the Melanesian Group.
The visit was significant because it further strengthens an existing friendship established 40 years ago. He said Indonesia was a strong supporter of PNG, thanking its neighbor for its support for PNG to host the 2018 APEC meeting. President Widodo said the visit intensifies the existing relationship with PNG in areas of trade and business in general.
Indonesia and PNG are close neighbors. We share borders.
Earlier during breakfast, the president said these ties are important for the 11 million Melanesian population of West Papua.
We share a community, the Melanesian community. Indonesia is home to more than 11 million Melanesians. They are asset in our bilateral relation. We could not afford to have weak relation between our two countries.
The second and final day program started off with a business breakfast and a stopover at the Indonesian embassy before departure. The two-day visit by the Indonesian president allows for more bilateral cooperation between the two nations, but more importantly, PNG's voice in support of Indonesia's bid to be an associate member of Melanesian Spearhead Group. Michelle Amba, National EMTV News.
The Papua New Guinea business community has been invited to make use of business opportunities in Indonesia. Indonesia's President Joko Widodo addressed a business breakfast this morning in Port Moresby. He said Indonesia is willing to cooperate beyond just border trade. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill welcomed the invitation, challenging PNG's business sector to look further north.
The visiting leaders' official engagements today started off with a business breakfast co-hosted by the Port Moresby Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the PNG Business Council. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill and members of Port Moresby business community were all in attendance. In his address, the president urged PNG to go beyond border trade, like the current trading activities at Wutong PNG-Indonesian border.
Indonesia is also your gateway to Asia. I notice strong appetite for more business contact. Our cross-border trade particularly in the Skau-Butung border is one example.
He acknowledged an agreement between Air Niugini and Indonesian Airlines business, commending the arrangement to encourage more flights into Indonesia. President Widodo invited the business community to take advantage of opportunities in Indonesia. Prime Minister O'Neill urged Papua New Guineans to make use of opportunities available.
Indonesia presents some unique opportunities, and I want to thank President Widodo and his government for giving Papua New Guineans an opportunity to start to take advantage of some of the business opportunities that are there in Indonesia.
The visiting head pointed out business opportunities that Indonesia can offer to PNG, including fisheries and energy.
Indonesia and PNG must make stronger economic ties in all areas. Energy, infrastructure, telecommunication, and fisheries industry.
He said there is more room for expansions into Indonesia. Michelle Amba, National EMTV News.
Prime Minister Peter O'Neill is pushing for peace for neighbouring Papua provinces. He made this known to Indonesian President Joko Widodo during last night's banquet at the State Function Room. Mr. O'Neill said PNG will work with Indonesia to achieve amicable outcomes and embrace peace.
Its banquet, Prime Minister Peter O'Neill emphasized for peace and better understanding on the West Papuan issue. Mr. O'Neill said despite having differences, it would be better to maintain peace for our neighboring Papuan brothers. He said the two countries have success stories on democracy and this must be maintained.
Of course, there will be issues on which we will have different views, but we will discuss them and resolve them in an amicable and mature way.
Prime Minister reiterated that President Widodo's visit will strengthen the relationship between the countries. He says PNG and Indonesia are not just neighbors but friends.
But it is a matter for which everyone deep down wants the same outcome. All we want is for there to be peace, there to be calm and understanding between Papua New Guinea and the Papuan provinces.
The Indonesian president thanked Mr. O'Neill for the welcome, saying PNG is a vital link for Indonesia to the region.
Bagi Indonesia, Papua New Guinea merupakan tetangga yang sangat.
To Indonesia, Papua New Guinea is a very important neighbor. Not only that we have lived together, we live side by side, and also sharing the same landmass, but we also share the same hope.
President Widodo said the two countries will work together for more cooperation and dialogue in different fields.
Semua capaian itu
All of this achievement, of course, is because of the able leadership of Your Excellency in advancing the welfare of the people and the nation of Papua New Guinea. It's because of
President Widodo's visit to the country is his first since being elected. Jack Lapawe Jr., National EMTV News.
A LA court has set a date to sentence a man of Asian origin found guilty of smuggling 4 pistols and 19 magazines into the country. Indonesian Yoshi Ikeda, who was a former property manager working in Leh City, was arrested by police in March 2012 after police and customs seized a container in which they found the weapons. He will appear in court on the 9th of June for sentencing. A Leh resident and businessman also appeared in court on similar charges. Customs officers argued that there were no legal transfer documents for the firearms and that there were no evidence of importation produced by the defendant. His case has also been adjourned to the 9th of June. The government's commitment to fight malaria, also our lack of resources to fight cancer, and the government addresses boycotting students. I'll bring you those stories plus more after the break. Stay with us. Good to have you back with National EMTV News. Angao Hospital's Chief Executive Officer has told a parliamentary committee looking into health service delivery that the country's only cancer facility can't save women suffering from stage 2 of cervical cancer. Dr. Jim Abraham said the treatment success rate of stage 2 of cervical cancer is 0. The unit has also been waiting 3 years for a cobalt source from Canada because of delays caused by Papua New Guinea's health bureaucracy.
Angau's cancer treatment facility is the only one of its kind in the country. As a unit and a referral hospital, it gets dozens of patients every month from all over the country, but its ability to do its job has diminished so much over the years that it can't save lives. At a public forum in Ley organized by the Special Parliamentary Committee looking into health service delivery, Dr. Jim Abrams, the only senior health professional who attended the forum, made this statement to those present.
Do you know what the cure rate for cancer of the cervix of stage 2 in Papua New Guinea is? Any guesses? 0. So nobody we treat actually gets cured. Now that's a shocking indictment when we have the treatments available in the world to stop this from happening. These people are dying unnecessarily.
As Chief Executive, Dr. Abrams is confronted with significant hurdles: poor facilities, staff absenteeism, and slow bureaucratic processes that contribute to poor health care.
The head of the cancer services has actually said, we're not a cancer center, we're a palliative care center. You know what that means? People come to us with cancer and they die. They're going to die, so we just make it comfortable for them. That's what a palliative care center is. So that's what we've been labeled, a palliative care center. And yet we can do better than that.
For the cancer unit, the hospital has been waiting 3 years for a cobalt sourced from Canada and for an expert to decommission the old machine.
There's a procurement company from Australia that can bring it in here in 3 weeks. So you would think, and this is not news to the Department of Health officials. So it just needs somebody in the Department of Health to make the decision to say, get that source, get it into Angau, let's help us at least improve patient care and hopefully save lives.
Personally, me like in government, it can look more go inside, look up in Angau hospital, look come up in another bigger hospital inside the country. Look this plus service belong cancer.
Even without an investigation, the fact-finding mission alone by the Special Parliamentary Committee is revealing evidence of years of neglect and showing a health system that is crumbling from within. 2 weeks ago in New Ireland, the committee was told of how funding shortages were crippling the rural and urban health systems. Officers in charge of health centres couldn't implement the government's free healthcare policy because the services would collapse if they did. The series of visits to Kavieng, Kimbe and now Ley has put members of parliament in the committee in contact with the concerns raised by health workers on the ground. Now those concerns aren't usually heard because they're drowned by layers of bureaucracy that exist in the public service. This afternoon the committee left for Goroka, where they're expected to meet with staff of another hospital in crisis. Scott Waide, National MTV News, Ley.
The state has given 100,000 kina to the PNG Industry Malaria Initiative to combat malaria in Papua New Guinea. The Acting Secretary for Planning and Monitoring, Hakawa Harry, when presenting the check, said the move to partner with PIMI is to ensure the government's health agendas are delivered through a public-private partnership. This is the first time the state has come on board to finance the work of PIMI in PNG.
Malaria cases in Papua New Guinea have decreased in the last 5 years. This follows numerous awareness and malaria campaigns conducted by various organizations across malaria-prone provinces like East Sepik and Gulf. Today, the cases have dropped from over 60% to under 2%, making malaria a least reported case in most hospitals. But Secretary Harry said the state is aiming to further reduce that 2 to 0%.
But we need to work towards pre-elimination, bringing 2% down to 0%.
In the population policy that was recently launched by Planning and Monitoring Minister Charles Abel, the policy focused on human development, an objective PIMI is also targeting. PIMI has worked mostly in major resource communities like mining, agriculture and energy sectors, fighting and educating people on malaria prevention techniques for the last 2 years. And with the financial support it received today, PIMI plans on working with provincial health authorities to fight malaria in each province.
This will just go towards us assisting them in formulating their plan. and bringing the National Department of Planning will be part of the partners with us in allowing us to enlist the resource operators help and getting them on the road to malaria elimination.
Other engagements the Planning and Monitoring Department is engaged into include a partnership with Marie Stopes in carrying forward the population policy and also assisting the medical ship YWAM to bring health services into remote PNG. Taklagunga, National EMTV News.
Deputy Prime Minister Leo Dion says the Agriculture and Livestock Department has received support from food and agriculture companies to formulate a new food security policy. This policy will emphasize the importance of growing quality and staple food and strengthening the implementation programs of food security in PNG. Mr. Dion made this announcement at the 11th meeting of the Southwest Pacific Ministries of Agriculture in Port Moresby this morning.
The agriculture sector in Papua New Guinea has shifted in the last 2 decades, with subsistence farmers now growing fresh produce and going into cattle farming for profits. But while the government is now encouraging local farmers to increase their produce, it is also looking at new avenues to ensure the food grown is healthy. One of such is the formation of the new food security policy.
It is important for the food industry to develop competencies that are market-based. And we must look at our agricultural sectors and tailor our national strategies to meet market requirements.
Food security has been a major topic discussed in a number of meetings this year. During the 2015 World Food Day celebrations in Port Moresby, Health Secretary Pascal Kasse and World Health Organization representative Dr. Peter Van Maren emphasized the need to prepare food in a clean environment. At a meeting today, Deputy Prime Minister Leo Dion said the lack of food storage dominates food security concerns in many Pacific Island countries, including PNG. Thus, the government needs to intervene, he says, because of the seriousness of food safety, particularly in remote communities.
This year, WHO urges all governments, the food industry and consumers to take food safety serious in order to improve global health and save lives.
The policy Food Security 2016 to 2025 will address how the effects of climate change has influenced the production of fresh goods and the adoption measures the Agriculture and Livestock Department plans to use in the Pacific Island countries. It will also enhance PNG's participation to food security at the national and regional level. Taklagunga, National EMTV News.
6 grade 8 students of Tedura Primary School in Port Moresby were arrested this afternoon for school bullying. 3 were released while the ringleaders were taken to Baroka Police Station for further questioning. The ringleaders were arrested following a bullying attack video which was uploaded on social media.
The bullies were identified from this amateur footage which was circulated among their peers and uploaded on social media sites. The bullied student in the video is Gideon Pomoso, a grade 7 student and the son of Major Frank Pomoso. Major Pomoso carried out his own investigations after hearing of his son's attack and rounded up the school bullies this afternoon.
I did not want to take the law into my hands. I did my own investigations, and then I collected enough evidence, including the video clip, and then that gave me the leeway for me to make the formal complaint. Firstly, to the military hierarchy, I went to the commanding officer of the Murray Barracks area, where the school administration commander. So I reported that and to our military police, and then today I made a move.
As a parent, he was shocked that his son was victimized by other students. He says he instills discipline on his children and did not expect this to happen to one of his own.
I'm going to put them behind bars. So that's going to send a message to the other schools and the other parents to take control of the kids, because it's going out of hand.
Ted Dero Primary School Board Chairman Kingston Evari says this has been ongoing and commended Major Frank Pomoso for exposing the bullying happening in the school.
And I want to salute and compliment Major who have stepped in to expose what's happening at Ted Dero. Not only that, we're talking about pornography and all this. The senior students have been doing this. Enough is enough. And I can't let these peers or so-called gangsters do away with under the carpets. No, it has to be exposed.
The fate of the students will be decided by the Education Department after the school governing body submits their recommendations. Major Pomoso says he will take legal action on the students involved. Mickey Cavera, National EMTV News.
Higher Education Minister Malakai Tabar today met with staff and students of the Leh Polytechnic Institute in a bid to resolve the 3-week boycott by students. After several hours of closed-door meetings, the minister announced that the government is going to provide 1 million kina for the upgrade of facilities. NTV's Colin Baralai reports from Leh.
This afternoon, the Higher Education Minister extended the government's funding commitment. Malakai Tabar said 1 million kina has been allocated for National Polytechnic Institute for equipment and facilities. It comes following the Institute's month-long boycott over the poor state of facilities. Students at the Institute have been fighting a battle with the administration about the state of deteriorating facilities at Polytech. The boycott has been going on for a month now. The minister said the government will be working alongside the administration in the next 3 months to address the issues raised by students. Upgrade works on the facilities and equipment is expected to happen over the 3 months. Tomorrow, a referendum will be conducted so students decide whether to resume classes or continue the boycott. Minister Tabar has also appealed to students to resume classes. Colin Barilai, National EMTV News, Leh.
Over 2,000 men, women and children have signed a petition calling for the government to stop the Pacific Marine Industrial Zone from happening. Today, the petition was presented to the Madang Provincial Government for Prime Minister Peter O'Neill. The petition challenges another group pushing for the project to happen. MTV's Bethany Harriman has this report from Madang.
The presentation of the petition today at the Madang Provincial Government headquarters started peacefully. The placards were clear, stating the landowners' intentions. They want the government to stop the PMIZ. But as the speeches continued on, with the second speaker, a group of men supporting the PMIZ interrupted the proceedings. A crowd of over 1,000 angry landowners were quickly subdued by police at the scene before a fight could erupt. The landowners say they felt insulted when the group led by this man told them to pack up and leave. Order was eventually reached as members of the Provincial Executive Council and the administrator came to receive the petition to the national government.
To the Madang Provincial Government to immediately use its administrative powers to stop all survey, construction and any other work associated with the PMIZ development at Vida.
Sumka MP Ken Fairweather and the Madang Governor Jim Kass, who was absent, are expected to take up the matter in Parliament next sitting. These group of men who tried to instigate trouble have support from former Maprik MP Gabriel Caprice, who was at the handover of the petition today. Caprice was Minister for Commerce in the Somali-led government when the project was proposed and has been behind it since it began.
No, but man, no pocket. How can you put money in your pocket? I'm hard. You can go and fish out in the sea. You catch one tuna. You come sit on the market, Salim. Maybe you get 5 kina, 10 kina. Is this sustainable enough to look after your family? No. Nothing.
Today's petition comes after a backdrop of protests and demonstrations held by people from 6 different villages that are going to be part of the impact areas of the Pacific Marine Industrial Zone. They are saying no to the PMIZ because they want to protect their environment, their women and their children, while Papua New Guinea's educated elite are saying yes to the PMIZ because of the economic development. The simple fisherman says he wants his ocean to be left alone because the 5 kina he makes selling his catch adds up to more than what he will make working as a laborer for a tuna processing company. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News, Medang.
And now we take a look at the finance news. The kina closed unchanged at $0.3695 in the interbank market, and at Bank South Pacific, our kina was fetching $0.3620 $0.4558 Australian dollars, €0.3314 and 43.06 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold, coffee and copper closed the day lower, while cocoa closed the day higher. Palm oil, crude oil and copper all closed the day lower. And finally, on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 86 points lower, the ASX closed at 17 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 15 points higher. We'll bring you more local and international news after this break. Stay with us. Thanks for your company and welcome back to the news. Calls have been made for the autonomous Bougainville government to focus more on tourism rather than redeveloping the controversial Panguna mine. This call was made by Rotokas Ecotourism founder, Junius Rapiriri. Mr. Rapiriri says Bougainville has huge potential for tourism and urged the ABG to consider this as a priority to generate internal revenue.
While talks about redeveloping the controversial Panguna mine has been under close scrutiny from both local and international NGOs and the media, a local businessman says the election's outcome is critical to Bougainville's peace agreement and its development priorities. One of these priorities is tourism, and Rapiriri says ABG must consider developing the tourism industry rather than giving prominence to mining. He says mining has been the cause of problems on Bougainville and ABG must not push forward to open the mine at this stage.
You know, the war has been started because of the mining.
Almost 20 years after the civil war and the Panguna mine reopening has been the much talked about issue by the Momis Nisira government and the national government. However, the move has been seen by Junius Rapiriri, the man behind development of the Rotakas ecotourism, as unhealthy for Bougainville.
I should say that the government should support tourism in Bougainville rather than going for mining.
Junius is among 42 shortlisted entrepreneurs who underwent an intensive boot camp training run by the Kumul Game Changers initiative at the Institute of Banking and Business Management. They graduated last Friday. Junius says they have plans to make Rotakas ecotourism a potential attraction for tourists with activities ranging from bird watching, trekking and visits to dormant volcanoes on the island. Quinten Alomp, National EMTV News.
Bougainvilleans living outside of Bougainville have cast their votes to elect leaders for the 3rd House of Representatives. Polling has begun in Goroka, Lae, Madang, Port Moresby and Rabaul. Today was the 2nd day of polling. MTV's Fabian Hakalitz reports.
The 2nd day of the 3rd Autonomous Bougainville Government general election. Bougainvilleans outside of Bougainville also have the chance to vote for the preferential candidates, president, constituency member, women and ex-combatant. In Port Moresby, 2 polling sites at the University of Papua New Guinea, Forum Square and Turumu House, Boroko. At the Forum Square, voters turned up less yesterday, but today in bulk, most of them university students and Port Moresby residents. It's election fever. Even children accompany their parents and grandparents and saw for themselves how voting is conducted. Bougainville's acting electoral commissioner George Manu appealed to all eligible voters to cast their votes because voting is a fundamental right and responsibility. And a strong message from the Bougainville Electoral Commissioner's office is that this election is very important 2 Bougainvilleans, as the government elected will govern through the referendum period. Meanwhile, polling had commenced in 187 polling places throughout Bougainville and in the 5 centers set up for Bougainvilleans living outside Bougainville, including Goroka, Ley, Madang, Port Moresby and Rabaul. Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News.
Well, turning overseas now, the use of mobile phones and other latest gadgets have the potential to harm our brain cells. Scientists in the United States have put forward a submission to the United Nations and the World Health Organization to adopt protective guidelines from what they termed as electromagnetic radiation emitting from wireless technology. MTV's Alana Lay has more on this report.
Information technology continues to rapidly develop its dynamic empire of social networking, innovative and attractive gadgets, and groundbreaking applications, causing scientists to bring more attention to the health risks involved. 190 scientists presented the International Electromagnetic Field Scientist Appeal to the United Nations and its member states, as well as the World Health Organization, requesting that they adopt more protective exposure guidelines from electromagnetic fields and wireless technology.
I'm here with disturbing news about our favorite gadgets, cell phones, tablets, Wi-Fi, etc. Putting it bluntly, they are damaging the living cells in our bodies and killing many of us prematurely. One study shows that as cell phone usage has spread widely, the incidence of fatal brain cancer in younger people has more than tripled.
Dr. Blank, who represented the scientists, says the levels today are much higher than the natural background levels and are growing rapidly because of all the new devices that emit radiation. He stressed the critical situation at hand, saying there is no control over electromagnetic radiation, as well as a limited understanding of its effects on human cells.
But when you have physicists and engineers and politicians and industrial people who are sitting and making these decisions as to what is safe, we're getting into a situation where there's more and more of this radiation in our environment with no apparent control. It's time to do something. This is a critical time.
Alana Lay, MTV World News.
A powerful typhoon has continued its destruction, pounding the southern islands of Japan with heavy rain and winds today after lashing the Philippines on Sunday. Typhoon No is moving northeast at 65 kilometers per hour and is forecast to hit mainland Japan later tonight and tomorrow, according to the Japan Meteorological Agency. Flights from the main Okinawa International Airport in Naha were cancelled as airline operators waited out the storm, which is expected to clear the southern islands by later on tonight. Well, prior to Japan, Typhoon No pounded the Cagayan province of the Philippines, killing 2 people, the Philippines National Disaster Agency said yesterday. The aftermath has forced more than 3,000 residents to find shelter and halted electricity services. Heavy rains and strong winds flattened houses as No crashed into the northeastern tip of the Philippines on Sunday. Homes, streetlights, trees. Typhoon No took down anything it could on Sunday. No, with wind speeds of 220 kilometers per hour, is the strongest storm to hit the Philippines so far this year in the rice and corn producing province of Cagayan. Aerial footage captured yesterday shows minimal damage in the province. 2 men died from electrocution as they were strapping down a tin roof on a house during the climax of the typhoon. Relief and humanitarian aid are now being prioritized. Some residents of coastal villages have started returning to their homes and rebuilding. Despite the destruction brought by No, it has also brought much-needed rains to rice and corn farms that had been hit by intense summer heat, the Agriculture Department said. An average of 20 typhoons cross the Philippines annually, with the storms becoming fiercer in recent years. More than 8,000 people have died or went missing, and about 1 million were made homeless by Haiyan, another Category 5 typhoon that struck central Philippines in 2013. Well, National EMTV News continues with Trukai Sports. That's coming up after the break. Stay tuned.
True Kai Sports.
Welcome to True Kai Sports. Well, Toya Whistle has earned herself a spot in the World Championships after winning the 100-meter finals at the Oceania Championships in Cannes on Sunday. Her time of 11.41 seconds is her second best ever. Her personal best is 11.40 seconds. It was a big surprise given that she had gone back into heavy training after the Australian Championships. There was also an illegal wind of 2.9 miles per second providing assistance. The legal limit set by the International Association of Athletics Federations at 2 mph. Whistle's win at the 100-meter and 200-meter event gives her automatic entry to the 2015 World Championships in Beijing in August. And in AFL, after much delay, the 2015 Port Moresby's AFL season is now in full swing. Securing alternative venues to stage this season has been challenging, and this year, respective competitions will be run in 3 venues until after the Pacific Games in July.
Securing alternative venues to conduct respective annual seasons has been challenging for soccer, rugby league, rugby union, netball, softball, cricket and AFL. AFL PNG has secured 3 respective venues to conduct their annual seasons, which kicked off last weekend. The secondary schools competition kicked off round 1 with 12 secondary schools registered for the Under-17 Boys Division respectively, and has sparked an interest for the Under-17 Girls Division. The competition now bridges the gap and creates an avenue for the transition of players from the junior to senior AFL competitions. Alternative venues of Murray Barracks, Tarama Barracks and the University of Papua New Guinea Ovals have had to host multiple competitions. Although AFL is not included in the Pacific Games, match fitness is a vital part of the preparation of players come selection for AFL PNG's academy and international tournaments. Scholar Sengi, National, EMTV Sports.
Soccer and Rugby League, that's still to come in True Kai Sports. Stay with us.
True Kai Sports.
Welcome back to True Kai Sports. Well, Papua New Guinea will host its first big international football competition, the Under-23 Women's World Cup, after the Pacific Games. This was made known by OFC and PNG Football President David Chung recently. As hosts, PNG has already qualified for the competition, but other plans are also in place to host more international matches. MTV's Jeremy Moggy has more.
As hosts, Papua New Guinea automatically qualified to the tournament and is current reigning Pacific Games champions, with coach Gary Phillips also looking at good performances by the team. Negotiations are also underway to have Asian countries play in one-off tournaments in the country as well, with the competition to involve different categories ranging from the under-17 through to senior men and women.
We try to negotiate and see whether they can come to Papua New Guinea to do a one-off tournament, or I might invite 2 or 3 countries to come with a 4-nation tournaments, so that we can not only use our facilities, make use of our facilities, but also to promote our players.
In terms of the under-23 preparation, Chung also believes the squad has potential with new coach Ricky Herbert.
Current young players has a very big potentials. Through our development programs, they have improved a lot, I can say that. Okay. So now I'm counting on the coach to do the magics, that he should be, hopefully he can deliver. That's all I can say.
With the Pacific Games Organizing Committee announcing that the Sir Hubert Murray Stadium will have seating for 15,000 people, these proposals provide an avenue for the exposure of the national team on a larger scale than ever before. Currently, Papua New Guinea's last international match on home soil ended in a 3-0 victory over Samoa in Kokopo, and prior, the senior men's teams a 5-3 loss to the Solomon Islands in 2005 and Vanuatu 2 years before that. Jeremy Moggy, National, EMTV Sports.
To Rugby League, the Dragons were on the hunt for a 7th straight win against a Rabbitohs team who had lost 3 games in a row, but that was not the case to be. South Sydney came back into the winner's circle after sealing a victory in last night's NRL Round 9 matches. The Rabbitohs hung on for a 16-10 win.
The Rabbitohs were lifted by the return of halfback Adam Reynolds, who remained a calming influence on his team throughout the contest. Reynolds got the game scoring underway with a successful penalty conversion after a penalty was handed down.
Back to his feet, the penalty. It gives the Rabbitohs through Reynolds a chance to score first. They do. I'll be happy to have his goal-kicking fish.
Dragons prop Mike Cooper was punished for accidentally slapping Sutton in the face. The referees made amends when a Rabbitohs penalty allowed Dragons 5'8" Gareth Widdop to equal the ledger at 2-2. The first try came 8 minutes later after winger Peter Matautia sliced his way past Reynolds and Dylan Walker to get Widdop into open space.
Great play by the Dragons. What lovely hands to the left-hand side.
The Rabbitohs drew level after winger Aaron Gray crossed out wide to score from a brilliant pass from Inglis.
Scores in the corner for the Rabbitohs. What a moment for the 21-year-old.
The Dragons went down in the first half. Halfback Benji Marshall stepped up to the plate and threw a lovely ball for winger Jason Nightingale to score.
For Benji Marshall pass, scores in the corner.
Rabbitohs came back firing in the second half when they hit the lead through Gray's second try in the corner.
A chance for Gray, and Aaron Gray has a double. In game.
Alex Johnson capitalized for South Sydney, and Johnson's try proved the match winner.
Now they'll crack them. Johnston is in. It had to happen. So much pressure on the Dragons line.
Elijah Lavette, National EMTV Sports.
And that report brings us to the end of our sports segment tonight. Coming up next, the weather details. Stay tuned for that.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
A quick look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in southern region, Port Moresby to look forward to showers plus rain. In Momase, fine weather expected in Madang, Wewak and Bunimore. In the New Guinea Islands, fine weather as well for Kavieng and Lorengau. And lastly, in the islands region, all centres fine weather, then morning fog. Now, before we go, quickly recapping our top stories again tonight. PNG supports Indonesia's bid in the Melanesian Spearhead Group. Also, government commits 100,000 kina to combat malaria, and parliamentary committee told that cancer facility cannot save women. Well, that wraps up the bulletin this Tuesday, the 12th of May, 2015. From the news team, I'm Tokana Hasavi. Thanks heaps for your company. You take care and stay safe. Good night.